All right, everybody. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the 306 Fantasy Football Podcast. We're doing things a little bit different here, usually recording a day or two in advance, but just with the way things are going here this next week and honeymoons and schedules and everything, that's going to be a little bit crazy. We're actually recording about a little over a week ahead of schedule with a fun little game show event today. So we're actually recording on August 1st here for our August 10th episode number 54. But we were treated with a lot of news ahead of time. So I think it kind of fantasy gods were working out in our favor here, even though we're recording a little bit early. But before we get into some of the big deals and some big news here, we'll say hello to the fellas and we'll get things going. So we'll start off here by saying hello to Armand. Armand, I know it's almost like regular season here. We're recording once a week, it kind of feels like. But how's the week off there for you as we're kind of trucking our way through summer holidays?
Just trying to keep up with the yard work with it being in the middle of summer here. The grass is growing faster and everything's just coming on us, and then trying to make sure I get done the little projects that I wanted to do around the house before our summer break is over.
Absolutely. And Zach, how about yourself? I know you were repping, it looks like, was that the Hardy shirt today, repping Hardy hard. So how's the week been good for you? And Armin's got St. Mary one too. Got a battle going on already. But how's things going for you, Zach, for summer holidays so far?
Yeah, a lot the same as what Armin said. Yard work, stuff around the house, and then I'm busy working on my last project for the program that I'm taking. Last assignment that I will hopefully ever have to submit. So it's coming down to the wire, but figure I'll get her done here in the next day or two. So pretty excited about that.
Yeah, that's a good feeling for sure. I can relate to that. I just finished classes for the summer. I still have another full year of my program, but just finished classes for the summer this past Thursday. So it was nice to be able to get that done and kind of just take a deep breath, because it's been a busy couple of weeks here, and classes never make anything a little bit easier, especially with just how busy everything is. But we had got to go to a wedding on Saturday, which was nice to kind of just, decompress a little bit. And now we'll be recording now today because myself and my wife will be leaving for our honeymoon here in the next couple of days. So we're heading out to Banff, and we're going to go Edmonton first for a couple of days and do some shopping, and then head to Calgary and Banff and kind of make our way back. Just a pretty little impromptu honeymoon, but it's going to be nice to kind of just do nothing for a little bit and relax before, I don't want to say it, but before work comes back around the corner, because it's scary approaching fast here. So.
And you got to go back to work a little bit earlier than everyone else, with you being an admin now.
Yeah, it was supposed to be the 17th, so it was supposed to be like real quick, but I think it got pushed back to like a 22nd or something like that. So still a little bit earlier, but I need that time to start preparing, because I have not transitioned my brain from work brain to school brain and wedding brain to back to work brain here. So I need a little bit of time to actually just relax a little bit and just do nothing. So it's going to be nice. I'm looking forward to it, but I'm also looking forward to the football countdown. I think I saw a thing on Twitter. It was like NFL kickoff is in like 38 days or something like that. I was like, oh baby,
holy,
that just gets me going a little bit.
That's wild to think already.
Oh yeah, Zach and I right now are in the middle of one of our drafts, and if I feel like with how slow this draft is going, by the time it's actually done, we'll be legitimately in draft season. So it's like the little teaser as we're going there. But Zach, maybe you want to give a quick little update before we move into that one?
Yeah, sure. I am currently in round 11. So from the sounds of it, I'm doing a little bit better in terms of pacing than what Carrier's doing. But so far, the team looks like at quarterback, got Mahomes, Mac Jones, of course, and Davis Mills. I punted on the RB position up until this morning, and I got Cordell Patterson in the 12th round. Went heavy at receiver, Cooper Kupp, Tyler Lockett, Mooney, Deebo, the Sun God himself, and Jalen Waddle. And then tight end, I have Noah Fant and Dalton Schultz. Like we talked about, I guess, in our previous episode, it is a super flex league. So you can start 2 quarterbacks. But then aside from the quarterback, you also have to start 1 tight end. But then the other 8 spots on your starting lineup are totally open. So I decided to focus my attention on the receiver position because you get more PPR points with the receivers in this league setting than you do with the running backs. So I'm going to try to use that to be as, I guess, efficient as possible this year in this league.
Yeah, I'm partially to do it just ignorance and just want to be stubborn. I want to go almost as close to no RBs as possible just because I think it's a lot of fun to do it that way. But at the same time, like Zach mentioned, you get the extra little PPR bonus from the wide receiver compared to the RB, and then tight ends, you get the even more there. But I'm going to see how long I can possibly go without going RB. Ours has been terribly slow. We've had six guys time out. The last one actually timed out and it skipped his pick, where before it would just like pre-draft. I think after a certain amount of rounds or amount of times you time out or whatever, it just skips your pick. So we've actually had our first pick skip here would have been about 20 minutes ago actually. So it's been frustrating, but that's just the way it goes with slow draft sometimes. Is take your time and come around. It's it's frustrating, but like I said, it's buffering the zone of draft season is around the corner, so at least it's something to do and continue to talk fantasy football. So I'll take it. Team's coming together. I'm real happy with my quarterback position. That's a position of strength. And then I'm starting to just chip away, and I'm just holding my breath that TJ Hawkinson comes around the corner. It's kind of funny because last episode I was all about Dalton Schultz and Zach was all about TJ Hawkinson, and Zach drafted Schultz, and I'm hoping for Hawkinson. So we're just kind of flipping the script here. But we'll get things going here with our insiders and headliners. Like I said, there's going to be probably some stuff that happens, especially with camp going on right now. We're recording about a week in advance than we normally would. So there might be some news that as this episode drops on August 10th, you're like, hey, how come you didn't talk about this? That's because we're recording about 9 days earlier than we normally would. But at least we have a couple good pieces of news that we're gonna talk about here. But I'll still continue to try as best as possible, posting all that stuff on social media and stuff like that to keep up to date with that. But without further ado, we'll get the insiders and headliners going.
I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story.
I'm Ron Burgundy.
So 2 big camp holdouts are going to be ending here. I mean, they rolled into camp, but they were not participating in activities. That was 2 standout wide receivers, DK Metcalf and Deebo Samuel. And I was actually at a buddy's the other day here, and we were talking about, the big receivers and, do you see this guy got paid? This guy, this literally yesterday, we're sitting around the campfire and do you see this guy got paid? So we're kind of visiting about these big wide receivers, and it seems like every single one of them has got the exact same deal within a ballpark of about $1 million. And then one person maybe got a little more guaranteed compared to the other, vice versa. But it seems like they all got the exact same contract. But DK Metcalf got a 3-year, $72 million with $58.2 million fully guaranteed. And then Deebo Samuel signed shortly after over the $73.5 million. So a little bit more, and then slightly less than the guarantee. He got 58.1. So just slightly less in that fully guaranteed money. But I think it was DJ Moore went first at like 70 million. And then I think right after that was Terry McLaurin at 71 million, and then DK 72. And now Deebo 73. It's just kind of just slowly going up.
And AJ.
Sorry?
And AJ Brown.
Oh, and AJ Brown was in the mix too. This has been I've said it before, this is a big year for wide receiver extensions or just general contracts. It's been crazy, but I don't know. Other than the fact that I know Zach and we kind of talked about this a little bit before the episode. I got a bit of a Deebo Samuel holdout discount, I think, on my draft, but this doesn't really change our outlook on the moving forward into draft season and this upcoming football season. No,
I don't think too much. Like you mentioned with that discount, that may have been a result of possible uncertainty of how long was Samuel going to hold out or how long Metcalf was going to hold out. I think going forward now, though, from now until beginning of September with our drafts, I don't think it's going to change too much one way or the other.
I think some people were kind of hoping that maybe DK would actually get traded. I know it would seem unlikely that Deebo would get traded. The rumors were a little bit more, I think, aggressive around the San Francisco organization, but they came out saying, no, we're not trading and we'll figure this out. But I think a lot of people are hoping that DK would get traded because that would more than likely increase his fantasy stock. Obviously, the Drew Lock experience might not be the most fun experience when it comes to fantasy football, or maybe people are hoping that Jimmy G might make his way over to Seattle, and I think that would be a significant increase. But obviously DK staying put, so now we know what to expect, right? We've seen Drew Lock, and we've seen that it's not the most fun experience. We've seen him with Geno Smith, and he's had hit and miss weeks, but obviously this is gonna be our first major experience without Russell Wilson. And now we know it's solidified deal. He's going to be in Seattle for another 3 seasons. So this one we knew was coming, but we didn't know exactly how it was going to work out. And I still don't know if we've seen the end of this yet, because I feel like there's going to be like maybe some trickle down effect. I still think that maybe some of last season's holdout, there might be a fine that goes with this, but it's the Deshaun Watson saga is slowly coming to an end. Obviously he didn't play the entire last season. When he was with the Houston Texans, got traded, fully guaranteed money, and now he is going to be missing the first 6 games of the NFL season. That literally just dropped this morning as we were preparing to record. So we know for sure that Deshaun Watson's out 6. Jacoby Brissett will be obviously the starting quarterback for the first 6 weeks. Now, my hot take of last week's maybe looking a little more juicy here with the Baker versus Jacoby game 1 of the NFL season. But I mean, putting everything aside of the allegations and the messiness, I mean, we already kind of talked about that and the unfortunate situation that this kind of bolsters and puts in the forefront of the 6-week suspension. But fantasy wise, let's kind of put those hats back on and let's talk about the Cleveland Browns. Some people are concerned it's going to be a full year. Lots of people thought it was going to be an 8 game. We're sitting here with a 6 game. Where does that put you in maybe some of the receiving options? I know David Njoku was kind of a late round sleeper tight end that people were really excited about. Names escaping me, Amari Cooper. That's probably going to be wide receiver 1 for them. And then you got some of the receiving work maybe from Kareem Hunt, and then obviously goal line work from Armand's love child, his favorite running back in the entire history of the universe. So where does that put you guys in some of these Cleveland Browns? I know people were hands off or with the uncertainty, but now we know. So where are we going to go from here? Maybe we'll start with Armand. Maybe you want to talk about the running back room, and then we'll go to Zach, some of the receiving targets.
Well, you got to imagine then that run game is going to be coming out hot in the first 6 weeks, and worth a lot. And then when Deshaun Watson comes back, unsure how that will actually affect their run game in Cleveland. As far as I know, their offense is relatively the same as far as like how they're going to set everything up. So maybe they'll still be a very run first offense when Deshaun comes back, and then use Watson to have big, huge plays in the passing game with their run game, hopefully making things a little bit more open in the pass game, and maybe they'll stay balanced. So I wouldn't shy away from the RBs at all with this news, and I wasn't going to either with the uncertainty surrounding it, because as Deshaun Watson could open up their run game more too, but in the end, you know that Cleveland likes to run the ball, and that they have a great O-line for running the ball too. And then Nick Chubb, like Jordan said, I love him as an RB, and I think that no matter what's going on with the QBs, he's still going to be successful.
I'm curious on how, like, we talk about rushing quarterbacks and how that it can impact running backs. So I'm curious on how the goal line work that might come from Chubb, how he might maybe get siphoned a little bit with the mobility of Watson. But I mean, looking back, this is something that I'm interested in. I kind of like maybe going after Kareem Hunt a little bit, because he's got some pretty good draft value. Like he's slipping in drafts a little bit, but you don't have to look too far to the success of Duke Johnson when they were in Houston. All that receiving work that came from Deshaun Watson, like he was a check down specialist, and he got a lot of PPR value just by the receptions alone. And Duke Johnson's obviously not a fantasy superstar, but he was definitely a guy that was flex worthy for a lot of years. So, I mean, Kareem Hunt, he's the receiving back. He might be some sneaky value there. And what is it? Like, I think right now he's sitting in the 8th or 9th round. Like there's a lot of value for somebody that one injury away to being the guy, right? And I still think he has a lot of standalone value. So that's a name that I think is very interesting to monitor come draft season as well, because now we know for sure 6 weeks. Well, what does that mean for the running back? Obviously, Armin's very, very excited still for Chubb and the goal line work, but I'm curious to see what will happen with Hunt. But Zach, what do you think about the receiving options there for Cleveland?
So I guess before we knew the outcome of the suspension here, I was at least slightly apprehensive to draft Amari Cooper as high as he was going, just not knowing the full outcome of the suspension. Now that we know it's looking like it's going to be 6 games, pending any appeals, I think you can maybe look at drafting Cooper with a little bit more confidence. Maybe not as your wide receiver 1 or even your wide receiver 2, just because for a third of the season he's not going to be playing with as good of a quarterback as he will be eventually. But you can still draft him as like a flex or a wide receiver 3. And then knowing that for the second half of the season and that playoff push, he'll be playing with, one of the 3, 4, 5 best quarterbacks in the league, or at least one of the 3 or 4 best quarterbacks in the league 2 years ago, because we don't know what we're going to get from Watson having sat out all of last year and then sitting out a handful of games this year. It may take him a while to reacclimate to the speed of the game. I would also think, maybe Donovan Peoples-Jones or maybe even David Bell may be interesting dart throws at the end of your draft that you can just kind of keep at the bottom of your bench, waiting to see what happens when Watson comes back.
So here's an interesting question, and maybe an ADP. I'm going to put you on the spot here. Obviously, for sure that Amari Cooper is going to be playing, right? It's just the first 6 weeks is going to be not great quarterback play. Jacoby Brissett is not the greatest quarterback in the NFL, but who knows what's going to happen, right? But DeAndre Hopkins, he's going to be out for 6 weeks, but then when he comes back, he has elite quarterback play as well. DeAndre Hopkins right now is going as wide receiver 40 in that ADP position. Quite a bit later than Amari Cooper is going as wide receiver 25. Would you rather take the shot on Amari Cooper at wide receiver 25, or would you rather hold out and get Hopkins healthy after for sure missing 6 weeks? You're talking about the 6 week window. I mean, you can still get Amari Cooper, but we're not expecting great numbers. So for a large portion of us, they probably is going to be sitting on the bench or maybe in that flex spot where Hopkins is for sure sitting on your bench. You're not playing him. So who would you rather? Kind of ADP question there for you.
I think the value obviously leans toward DeAndre Hopkins. He's somebody that battled injuries for a good portion of last year. I believe he only played in like 8 games, maybe overall, missing several games. He's somebody that's going to be missing the first third of the season this year with that suspension. So he's somebody that you might be able to get, like you said, later on in the draft and hope that he's able to bounce back. He is, though, getting older. I think he's 30 or 31. So you do have to consider oftentimes, I guess, receivers do kind of hit a wall around that age. So we may have seen the beginning of a decline for Hopkins, maybe not a drop, but a decline in his production. So you do have to consider that too. But I think knowing what we know now about Cooper and knowing what we know now about Hopkins, I would take the gamble on Hopkins, 3 or 4 rounds later.
But the only problem is, for a fact he has to sit there. But one thing to know is we talk about this as we get close to draft season and fantasy season. Obviously, knowing your league rules is really important, because if you can put that suspended player on your IR spot, that's like a no-brainer to me. You just plop them in there. But no, that's important about knowing your league rules. I know Zach and I were talking about it in his Discord. He's talking with the EC4, I'd call it. I know it's a couple extra letters in there, but they're talking about the rulings, because there's these specialty big play rules and stuff. And does that count towards passing yards, or is it just receiving yards? And those receiving yards actually count towards passing yards. So there's this big debacle about, well, what's the actual rule? Knowing the rules is important. I know I got that big value in the second round of getting Dak. That's a big value where guys were taking, you know, like maybe back in RB1 where he is not getting that big upside as a quarterback is. So knowing your rules is important. That's something that we'll be talking about obviously in a couple episodes. Talking about, you know, important things to know. It's important to know that we're going to be saving you money if you're going to be purchasing anything from 22fresh.com. So I know if you're in the Regina area and Saskatoon area, you can go to the storefront, you can walk around and take a look. But also if you're not in the area and you want to be shopping some 22 Fresh goods, when you're at checkout, making sure that you're using the promo code 306FFB15, and you'll be receiving 15% off your next purchase on behalf of the 306 Fantasy Football Podcast. I mentioned before, and I'll say it again, our partnership with 22 Fresh is now helping you at home save money and being able to wear good quality, sharp looking products. I know if you're on YouTube and watching this episode, you'll see Armand's wearing his nice green 22 Fresh hat, and Zach is repping his nice black with white lettering 22 Fresh hat. It's a good product. It's sharp. I was wearing my hoodie the other day. It's incredibly comfortable, and you don't want to miss out on this awesome product. So be able to check them out online, 22fresh.com, making sure you're using the promo code 306FFB15 to save 15% on checkout. So now we are going to be moving into one of my favorites. This is going to be Fantasy Jeopardy, and Zach is going to be hosting this one. So we'll get things rolling.
Okay, welcome to the 306 Fantasy Football Jeopardy Year 2 edition. This is going to operate very similar to how it did last year. Armand and Jordan will be going head to head, answering questions from 4 categories. This year, the categories are 2022 redraft, 0.5 PPR scoring, number 1 finishes from previous years, and then ADP price check. So the first 2 are very similar to what we had last year. Number 1 finishes, I'll ask you guys a question, something like in the year 2021, who was the tight end 1 on the season? And it kind of goes back further in the years. And the ADP price check, I will present you 2 players with very similar ADPs, and you'll have to tell me who has the higher ADP. And by higher, I mean who is coming off the board first. So in this case, 45 would be higher than 46. Any questions, fellas?
Are we just same thing as when we did Fantasy Feud, or it's just you check in by saying your name?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. And then are we spinning the wager wheel after this? I know I might regret doing this again, having an absolutely dummy cheeseburgers, but are we going to do some punishments, Armand? Are you good for that or what?
Yeah, I'm just going to point out right now that you have a little bit of an edge on me because you've been actually doing drafts. So things are a little bit fresher in your mind. And I have not done any drafts yet. So I will be a little bit behind the 8 ball on you.
I'm sure if you go back in time and listen to whatever it was, maybe episode 13 at the time, I'm pretty sure you can hear the exact same thing he said because we were doing the Scott Fish at the time. So I'm sure we hear the exact same thing, and it bit me in the ass then. So
in your defense, Armand, the drafts that we've been doing are a little bit different with the super flex and the tight end premium. We are doing just vanilla 0.5 PPR ADP. So while JC probably will have a little advantage, just kind of having looked at the sites more than you likely have, but it shouldn't be too bad, I don't think. So since Jordan has had the advantage, I will give the first pick to Armand. After I read the question, you guys say your name as your way of buzzing in. I'll give that person the chance to answer the question. If they get it right, they get to go on and pick the next question, just like in regular Jeopardy. But if they get it wrong, I will give the other player the chance to answer. Does that sound fair?
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, beautiful. Armando, you're up.
Okay, 2022 redraft.
Tough start.
100, please, there, Zach.
100?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. As of late July, which player's ADP is 3.0?
Jordan.
Alrighty. Answer is
Who is Austin Eckler?
who is Austin Eckler? Let's Kate will take Austin Eckler. Armand, what would be your answer?
Let's go with 3.0. So around 3.
No, like 3 overall.
Oh,
Sorry.
3rd overall. Oh, sheesh. Well, no wonder I was thinking so much about it. Well, I guess Eckler's already taken, so I'll say CMC.
CMC. Okay. It is Christian McCaffrey.
Really?
100 points for Armand. Congratulations.
Who's going in front of him? Henry or Eckler?
I'm thinking it would be, I don't have it in front of me, but I'm thinking it would be JT and then Eckler probably.
Yeah. I thought maybe saying Henry because I thought Henry sneaking in front of Eckler, but that's a mistake.
There's still some question marks about Henry right now.
I thought after that 1-2, it's just a total crapshoot. I thought CMC for sure was 102. No brainer.
All right, Armand, your chance to go again.
Let's continue on redraft for 200, please.
200.
Zach.
All righty. As of late July, which tight end is currently
Jordan.
being drafted as tight end 5 overall? Jordan, your answer is?
Who is Darren Waller?
So Darren Waller, tight end 5. Armand, your answer is?
Let's say Schultz.
So we got Waller and Schultz. Answer is Darren Waller, the Walrus himself.
Let's go.
So after 2 questions, the score is 100 for Armand and 200 for Jordan. Jordan, your choice to pick, or your turn to pick, pardon me.
I'm going to go ADP price check for 100.
Okay. According to Fantasy Pros, which of these 2 players has a higher ADP as of late July? Clyde Edwards-Helaire or Damian Harris? All right, Armand, your answer is?
Harris.
Harris is coming off the board first. Okay.
I'll take CEH, I think.
All righty. And it is CEH, and he is going 1 spot ahead of Harris. So that is Armand, correct?
No, that was me.
Oh,
Jordan.
way to go. All righty. On to you.
I'll continue on for 200.
All right. According to Fantasy Pros, which of these 2
Jordan.
players has a higher ADP? Michael Pittman or Jalen Waddle? Jordan, you said?
Michael Pittman.
Michael Pittman. Okay. Armand?
Waddle.
Okay. Let's see. Jalen Waddle is going off the board first.
Really?
In our last one, Waddle was absolutely falling. And people are high on Pittman, but Waddle was falling in our other draft. Balls.
Wow.
Like I said, these guys are separated by like 1 or 2 draft spots. Very close. So after 4 turns, it is tied up. So that means Armand, you get a pick.
Let's go 0.5 PPR scoring for 100, please.
All righty. You guys better have a pen and paper here because you are doing some math.
Gosh, I don't.
I just said I got summer brain now, Zach. I just got rid of school brain.
All righty. Well, here's the hope, and basic math hasn't evaded you guys too far. In 0.5 PPR scoring, how many points would a player receive for 6 receptions and 70 yards? Armand, how many points is that?
7.3.
No,
7?
I'm going to say what is...
Or not 7 points. Fuck me.
What is... what is 10?
Okay, so I got 7.3 and 10.
It's 10.
It is 10. Hunter Renfrow put up that stat line in week 1 of the 2021 season and scored 10 points.
Oh, that's good stuff.
I think I see where you're going there, Armand. I think I see.
I'll just keep it going. I'll go with the same one for 200.
Okay. In 0.5 PPR scoring, how many points would a player receive for 4 receptions,
Jordan,
105 yards, and 1 touchdown? Jordan.
What is 18.5?
18.5. Armand, your guess is?
That's correct.
All righty.
No, wait.
No.
9. Yeah.
It is correct. Yeah. Michael Pittman Jr. put up that stat line in week 7 of last season and scored 18.5 PPR points.
There's Michael Pittman again, staying
Yep.
hot.
See, you can do math.
Working on it. I'll keep it going. Let's go for 300.
Okay. In 0.5 PPR scoring, how many points would a player receive for 40 rush yards, 14 receptions for 102 yards? All right, Jordan, this is a tough one.
What is 21.2?
21.2. Armand, do you want to give a guess?
Yeah. 22.2.
Oh, there you go. Like that strategy. Let's see. It is indeed 21.2. Najee Harris put up that stat line in week 3 of last season, and he got the 21.2 fantasy points.
Staying hot on the math here.
Yeah, you can teach grade 3 any day of the week.
Bingo. Elementary school time. Let's go.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep going 400.
All right. In 0.5 PPR scoring, how many points would a player receive for 9 receptions, 189 yards,
Jordan.
and 1 touchdown? Holy. Okay. Your answer is?
Oh crap. What is 27.9? No, sorry, 28.4. Sorry.
28.4. Okay. Armand, you want to give a shot?
29.4.
All righty.
I think I'm one too high, I think.
Oh, let's see. Yes, you were.
Oh,
Hugo Samuel put up that stat line in week 1 of last season and scored 27.4 points. So since neither of you got it right, I will give Armand the pick. Not sure if that's how they do it on Jeopardy, but that's how I'll do it.
Maybe Jordan.
all I hear is net.
We are going to you, Armand.
Keep it up with the PPR scoring.
All righty. Quite the gentleman. I was giving you a chance to get over to the math section.
I'm usually better at math.
In half-point PPR scoring, how many points would a player receive for 185 rush yards, 3 receptions for 19 yards, and 5 total touchdowns?
Jordan.
All righty. Let's hear it, sir.
What is 6? Oh my goodness. What is 69.5 points?
69 and a half. Okay.
Oh no, that's
Armand.
not right.
51.9.
51.9. That is a gap, you two. Good Lord. Okay. Just to be correct, Jordan, you said 69 and a half.
Yep.
And Armand, you said 51.9. Right?
Yeah, I'm wrong.
Okay. And the answer is 50.4.
Not math guys here.
No. JT put up that stat line in week 11 of last season and scored 50.4. So the PPR section is, or the half point PPR section is all done. And since I don't know the rules of Jeopardy, it is Jordan's turn to pick.
I think we can go to ADP price check 300. We haven't done that one, right?
Correct.
I'll do that one.
All right. ADP price check for 300. According to Fantasy Pros, which of these two players has a higher
Jordan.
ADP?
Oh.
All right, Armand, I heard you first. Josh Jacobs or James Conner? Who has a higher ADP?
Jacobs.
Oh, see, I think it's James Conner for sure.
Oh, here we go. A good discussion. It is James Conner. That is 300 for Jordan.
And it's funny because Armin, you're higher on Jacobs than I am, and I'm higher on Conner than you are.
Yeah. Oh, then they're so close. It's tough to remember.
All righty.
Keep it
JC,
going 400.
400. Okay. According to Fantasy Pros, who has a higher ADP,
Jordan.
Gerald Everett or Tyler Higbee?
Gerald
Jordan,
Everett. Who is Gerald Everett?
going with Gerald Everett. That means Armand is going to go on the Higbee wagon.
Yeah.
And it is Gerald Everett. I think he might be a real sleeper in the tight end world this year. In an offense now where he's the tight end 1 by himself. And I think you might see a bit of a breakout there.
He's absolutely killing my Donald Parham takes. I was super high on him, and then Everett is just squandering that. Terrible. I'll finish off the board there for 500.
For 500. Okay. According to Fantasy Pros, which of these two players has higher ADP? Marvin Jones or Jamison Crowder?
Armand, was that you saying your name or is that a groan?
That was a groan.
Okay, so I will take Marvin Jones Jr.
Okay.
My boy.
Yeah,
and then Armand
too.
going with Crowder.
Yeah.
Okay. It is Crowder. Oh. Look at that.
Starting to climb over in that Buffalo offense.
I would have gone Jones, but I'm glad you took the bullet there, Jordan.
So
sucks.
after 12 rounds, the 0.5 scoring is complete, as is the ADP price check. And then the 2022 redraft has the first 2 taken care of. So that means we have 300, 400, and 500 for the redraft, and then all 5 for previous year's number 1 finishers. So Armand, it is your turn.
Let's go number 1s for 100.
All righty. According to Fantasy Pros, who finished as wide receiver 1 in half-point scoring in 2020?
Armand.
Answer is
Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
Okay. JC, you want to give a guess?
I think it's Adams as well, but I think it's Adams, so I don't have a rebuttal.
Okay. It was Devontae Adams. Well done.
Thank you. Needed something.
Closing the gap there.
Yeah. Let's continue in number 1s for 200, please.
Okay. According to Fantasy Pros, who finished as running back
Jordan.
1 in half-point scoring in 2019? Jordan, your answer is?
Who is Christian McCaffrey?
CMC. Okay. Armand?
Yeah, he's right. But let's throw in Derrick Henry there just in case.
All righty. CMC. Way to go, Mr. Carrier.
I'll keep going for 300.
Okay. According to Fantasy Pros,
Jordan.
who finished as tight end 1 in half-point scoring in 2018? Jordan, your answer is?
Who is Travis Kelce?
Armand, you want to give a shot?
It's Kelsey, but Kittle.
Other guess would have been Gronk, but 18. I think he's been on like for 8 years in a row until this past year. So
yeah, it is Kelsey. Yeah, see, I kept that one there because I thought it was going to be Gronk myself, actually.
that's right where like they were back and forth. I think his 17 was Gronk, right?
Yeah, I think that's like right before he missed half the season.
Yeah.
Gronk.
I'll keep the board going for 400.
Okay. So according to Fantasy Pros, who finished as wide receiver
Jordan.
1 in 2017? Your answer is?
Who is Antonio Brown?
Antonio Brown. Okay. Armand?
I'm going to go Hopkins.
Ooh. This could be interesting. It was Hopkins.
Ooh. Good pick,
Oh,
Armand.
man.
Was that
Thank
was
you.
AB was number 2 that year? Because I think he's won like top 3 for like 8 years in a row or something like that.
Could very well have been. That's like right around before the wheels fell off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
That was
righty.
his last Texans year, wasn't it?
For Hopkins.
Yeah. Or was
No,
he?
he had one more year. And he got traded in 19, didn't he? It was
yeah,
COVID
I think
year.
so.
It was COVID year he got traded. I remember that.
It was like it was like the off season before the COVID year, I think.
Yeah. All right. Let's finish up the number ones then.
Okay. Who was RB1 in 2016?
Armand.
Okay, Armand. Who are you going?
David Johnson.
Nice.
Oh, that's a really good guess. I gotta go different though. I'm gonna go Le'Veon Bell.
Both of these are quite possible. Unfortunately, that could be Lev Bell's sit-out year.
Oh, yeah, you might be right.
It was DJ.
Woo.
All righty. So after 17 turns, Jordan has 3 more correct answers, but Armand has 2 500 answers and a 400 answer to his name. So it's going to make scoring quite interesting here over the last 3 turns.
I've got it tallied if you want me to give you the actual scores.
You know what? I'll probably tally it myself, but thanks.
I was gonna say I've been keeping track to see how far behind I was gonna be because I got dusted last year.
All right, Armand, you are left with 2022 redraft 300, 400, and 500.
Let's go 300. I'm a man who likes to go in order. So
All righty. As of late July, who is the 3rd second-year running back to be drafted in 0.5 PPR formats, according to Fantasy Pros?
Armand.
All right, Armand.
Oh shit. I was gonna say Etienne, but now I'm reeling here. I'm gonna stick with Etienne, but it's not, is it? Etienne.
Oh,
Mr. Carrier.
I am drawing some blanks here. I'm gonna need a second. I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say James Cook.
He is a first-year running back, so
yeah,
that's a terrible guess.
I know the name that was escaping me.
Let's see who it is. Oh,
Elijah Mitchell.
yes, sir.
Oh, I was blanking so hard there. Oh man, I was just thinking rookies, and then I started going to like Dobbins. I'm like, no, Dobbins is 3 years. That's not going to do it.
Well, in my mind, I just quickly went through the top 3 guys from the draft last year. And then right before I was about to say Etienne, I was like, fuck, there's another guy and I should know who it is. And fucking finally came to me when it was too late.
It's your man, the Raging Cajun himself.
Yeah.
Okay, so since
Thanks,
Armand picked that, we are going to Carrier.
Might as well just keep it in order. I'll go 400.
Okay. Which running back went from RB5 in July 2021 to RB16 in July 2022 in half point PPR formats? Jordan, what do you think?
Saquon Barkley?
Ooh, Bark. Okay.
RB5 to RB15.
16. If that makes a difference.
Let's go Kamara.
Ooh, that's a good guess.
And the answer is Zeke Elliott.
Oh, really?
People aren't loving Zeke. Think the age and then just the hive mind of the Tony Pollard cult is making for a bit of a drop in his ADP.
And he had the fumble skis last year too. I guess Saquon would have been drafted later than RB5. That's not a very good thought process, but
yeah, Saquon would have been pretty low anyways to begin.
Because he was on the turn last year, and that's not RB5 territory. So
yeah. Both good answers though. Both are those guys that are
plausible.
Yeah.
Kamara's a wild card, like completely.
I could see that Barkley one actually being inversed this year. Somebody that was a little bit lower last year, but now healthy again, new coaching staff, revamped offensive line, might be getting more love here in the next month or two.
Yeah.
So that leaves us with number 5 for the 2022 redraft before we go in for the final Jeopardy. All right. So according to Fantasy Pros, which of the top 4 New England Patriot wide receivers has the highest ADP of
Jordan.
late July? Those being Nelson Aguilar, Kendrick Bourne, Jacoby Myers, and Devontae Parker. Highest ADP, Jordan is
Devontae. Who is Devontae Parker?
Okay, Parker coming off the board first, you say. And Armand.
That makes it more interesting for me because I wasn't going to go with Parker. I was thinking Myers or Bourne. Let's go Jacoby. Zach's dude. Zach's guy.
Oh yeah. Let out a shrill squeak this morning when he was sniped like 2 picks before me in my draft. So the answer was Devontae Parker.
That's strictly because I've been drafting and I've seen that happen. So sorry, Armand.
For me, that was
one's where you guys have the advantage. I didn't know Devontae's going that high. I never thought of it. It's been a while since he's been relevant. I would have thought the guy who was more relevant last year would have been the guy going higher still. And
That's
especially
fair.
seeing as he's more with that team. Like I honestly would draft Myers before Parker, but that's just
I've been drafting Myers at least a round or two before Parker goes in my drafts, just because I'm a big Jacoby guy. But the press and the media have been super complimentary of Parker over the first week of training camp. It seems
And
like
we've
him
seen
and
Parker be a wide receiver 1 before too.
True.
Yeah, he has been, but it was one
So,
season. Do I need
said that you
paper
had
for this last one here, Zach?
Nope. Jordan, what is your total that you have?
2,600 to 1,800.
I'll take your word for it.
It
Perfect.
was, that 500 was a big swing because I was only up by 300 points at that point.
Fair. So, Final Jeopardy, you guys can decide how many points you want to wager.
See, this is where it's a secret, right? Because neither of us should hear what we were going to wager.
Yeah, we gotta write it
should,
down.
you guys should just, write it down, or you guys could text it to me too.
Okay, I'll text it to you.
Okay. All right. Final Jeopardy time, gentlemen. I have your wagers, and how it's going to work is you guys are going to write down your answers, and then I'll give a quick little countdown, and then you guys will reveal your answers. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. Final Jeopardy time. Topic: Sky High.
Ooh.
According to Fantasy Pros, as of late July, what is Sky Moore's ADP in 0.5 PPR leagues? So you don't have to give me the round and the pick number, but you could just say like overall, what is he coming off the board as?
Okay.
Like not wide receiver, but you're talking as overall fantasy player. Like, so considering other position, not just wide receiver number. It's like
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Is he like the 20th player? Is he the 300th player? Whatever that may be.
And we got to hit this bang on then,
We're going to go just whoever's closest.
Whoever's closest gets it.
Yeah. Yeah. We're not doing the Bob Barker Price is Right. Can't go over.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm ready.
So answers are locked in. You guys want to reveal your answers right now?
should we say wager and then what we put, or just the number of what we guessed?
Just show me what your guess was, and then we'll go
Okay.
from there.
You want to go first, Armand? You're behind. You go first.
Sure. Oh shit! You can't even see it.
The green screen took it.
161.5.
What was that? I can't even.
161.5.
161.5. Okay.
Mine
There it
says
is.
121.
121. Okay, so Jordan thinks he is going in about the 12th round, and Armin is thinking closer to the 14th, 15th round there. Let's see what we got.
Because 121 would be like, basically right between 11 and 12, right?
Yep. All righty. So according to Fantasy Pros, as of late July, Sky Moore's ADP in 0.5 PPR leagues is 132 overall. Without doing any subtraction here, I am going to give that to Jordan, who is 11 off. Armand, very, very close. Funny enough, when I first did this, though, I didn't change the settings to 0.5. I just had it at standard, and it was 154 overall. So That would have been Armand.
Oh,
but,
that plays a big variance. I honestly thought I was too high. Because I've seen him starting to go early and earlier. So I was like, man, I'm gonna be pretty high, I think. So thank God.
That's your guys' drafting paying off for you.
I mean,
could very well be.
Juju's starting to go up pretty good too.
So after 20 turns and a final Jeopardy, where you guys were able to wager how many points you wanted, the final score is Jordan with 3,700 and Armand with less than that. We won't say how many points Armand had, but he had less than that. So congratulations.
Well, I wagered everything but 100. I have 100.
Got 100 points left.
My thought process was, I thought you're going to wager everything. So I was like, if he wagered everything, we both get it right, then I would be 100 over him. So I bet $1,100.
You're going big brain.
Yeah.
All righty.
Well, there's
well done.
One way to get ahead of you. So
Yeah.
Well done, both of you guys. This went way better than last year. My wife still talks about last year where she heard us recording this episode and she heard me say, no, that's not right. No, that's wrong. So many times. And she's like, do these guys even like fantasy football? They couldn't get anything right.
I remember doing it and just thinking like, oh, these are super easy questions. And as soon as you say your name, it's just panic. It's like,
just frozen, eh?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I think that was my saving grace last year, Jordan, is you're so bad with names.
Oh yeah.
That, like you couldn't remember anybody's name. And then I could just take the point.
Oh man. Yeah, last year was a struggle bus. I think I can't remember what was worse. I felt bad about my scoring Jeopardy or after eating those 8 cheeseburgers or whatever I had to do.
I'm gonna say it was your gut sack after the 8 cheeseburgers for sure.
It was
That's not a good one.
It was a tough go. Well,
alrighty.
Should we spin the wager wheel here to see what Arm's got to do?
Yeah, let's
do her. All right. Okay, I'm gonna share the old screen here because we got to spin the wheel. Armand, best of luck to you on this upcoming play. We got here. We'll make this nice and big. Okay,
none of them scare me.
We got the Slurpee chug competition where you gotta
easy
buy the small Slurpee and you gotta chug her till she's gone. Jersey swap, that's a simple one where we wear the other team's memorabilia. So
easy.
Obviously in this situation you have to wear my line stuff for an episode. Change one fantasy team name for a month. So that'll be a pretty interesting one because I know Arm and I are in a few leagues together. 306 team night. That means when next time we go out for wings and drinks, you buy the first round. Social media dance. We can find like a TikTok or something, record it and throw it up on all of our social media. Salted cracker challenge. We got the hot wing challenge. It's like the ghost pepper big wings. And then we got the McDonald's 7-hour challenge. So I know there's one for sure that Armin is really, really trying to avoid here. But we'll see.
The jersey swap.
All right, here we go.
Come on.
Oh, I really wanted to change that one name. That would have been so good. But 306 team night, Armin. Wings and drinks on Armin for the next night we go. Might have to do maybe something around like a draft night or week 1 or something like that. Might have to get something going. But Armin, which I don't know if this is terrible. You got to maybe avoid a little bit of embarrassment, but you got to dig into the pocket a little bit there. Which one was the one you didn't want the most? I guess we'll go there.
Jersey swap.
Didn't want the jersey swap. I guess NFC North. Those that bloodlines go deep. I guess.
Yeah.
We'll keep things going here.
If it was Zach's jersey swap, I would do that.
Not
a Brady jersey, easy.
Just can't stomach like a Calvin Johnson jersey.
No.
Hey, Hall of Famer Calvin Johnson.
Not even like the best receiver.
I saw a thing the other day, and it was Calvin Johnson played high school football,
college,
university, got drafted
and Hall of Fame.
Got in the Hall of Fame, and Brady has not finished his NFL career.
Yeah, that's outstanding.
Crazy.
Okay, Zach, you ready?
Yep.
Get back here. Okay, we got the ice cold hot takes ready to go. It's Zach's turn. We'll hit the drop and we'll see what Zach's got for us today.
You're not on fire, Ricky Bobby. I'm on fire.
Okie doke. So today's hot take is this year, Chase Edmonds, running back for the Miami Dolphins, will be a league-winning running back. That's not to say that he's going to be running back one. That's not even to say that he's going to be a top 12 running back, but he is somebody that you're going to draft, and based on his ADP, where you draft him, and his finish at the end of the year, he is going to outperform that ADP, and he'll be a very real value to you and a potential championship. So in order for this to all to make sense, let's go back to last year. Last year, Edmonds finished as running back 35 on the year, playing predominantly as James Conner's backup. Last season, he had just under 600 rush yards, a pretty impressive 5.1 yards per attempt, 2 rush touchdowns, and 43 receptions to go along with no touchdowns through the air. But of the top 35 running backs, which he had the fewest rush attempts with only 116 attempts overall. That is below the likes of guys like D'Angelo or Henderson from the Rams, Tony Pollard, and then a few Michael Carter. These are the guys that he was below in terms of rush attempts. Last year, Myles Gaskin, who was the leading running back for the Miami Dolphins, had 173 rushing attempts with a very inefficient 3.5 yards per attempt. Now, if Edmonds had gotten the same amount of attempts as Gaskins had, he would have had 882 rushing yards. Of course, it's a lot easier to be efficient with fewer rushing attempts than it is with more rushing attempts, but just bear with me and let's go along with it. With 882 rushing yards, Edmonds would have finished as the running back 25 on the year. That's right where Elijah Mitchell finished the season. Now, fast forward a little bit, going into March of this year, Miami signed Edmonds on the first day of free agency to a 2-year, $12.6 million contract, making him the 16th highest paid running back in the NFL. It is clear to me that Miami really wanted him as they came out opening day and they put their money where their mouth was and they paid him like a starting running back. This is also the same team that had just brought in a new head coach in Mike McDaniels from the 49ers, an offensive play caller that values the running game. So McDaniels, the contract, and the current depth chart in Miami has me believing that Edmonds is a screaming value at, running back 35 or the 94th player overall. Look at the competition that he has in Miami. We have Myles Gaskins, who they had last year, who they went out and replaced with 3 other running backs. Among the running backs they brought in, aside from Edmonds, was Sony Michel, who while last year had a very good year filling in for Cam Akers, he himself has dealt with a lot of injuries in previous years. They also brought in Raheem Mostert, who, while on the field is a pretty effective change of pace back, has never been able to stay healthy for a sustained amount of time. So for me, taking all that in consideration, I could see Edmonds really outperforming his draft spot and potentially winning you the league that you play in.
When I saw you putting this in the docket, I was absolutely licking my chops because I couldn't agree with you more. It's incredibly scary. Like right now, let's say if in Dynasty you're going to go get him, you have to pay up a little bit to get him. I think in comparison, it's not going to cost you like you're getting on an RB1 by any stretch of imagination. But then when it comes to redraft, it's just the value so good. But when you think about going back in time, you look at previous fantasy years and you go, oh man, we should have seen this coming. You look at ones that are uncertain backfields, or you look at wide receivers in like a, who knows who's the number one, like that's when you look back and it's like, all of a sudden it's like, we should have seen this coming. It's like, well, no, because it's somebody's going to step forward, but we just don't know who it is, right? It's the same conversation we're having right now with Denver wide receivers. You look at that Miami backfield and you look at the quarterback of Tua Tagovailoa, and he likes to get the ball out of his hands quick. He's not, well, I shouldn't say this because this might sound terrible. I don't think he's an elite quarterback, but I think he's going to be a very competent quarterback that can get the job done with weapons. So to get the ball out of the hands quick, who's the best receiving back in that backfield? That's Chase Edmonds, in my opinion, especially when you look at the work you talked about that he did in Arizona. He is a great receiving back. I think he is going to be a PPR machine, and he could also be the RB1 on the team. So I like this a lot. I know there's been people that have tried to get him off my dynasty roster already. I'm just willing to do that because I think there is a lot of meat on the bone, and there's going to be a lot of fantasy value. But I agree with this one wholeheartedly, Zach. Big time. Armand, do you agree?
Yeah, it's tough not to agree with that one, especially when you bring up the injury history of the other guys, the fact that they paid Edmonds, they went after him, right? Whereas the other guys were kind of more discount bargain bin running backs, right? And then currently right now, like, it doesn't mean a whole lot, but he is sitting on the number one spot in the depth chart there in Miami, and this offense should be a lot better than it was last year. So there's going to be more opportunity. They're going to be making more yards, and Edmonds should be able to outproduce where he's being drafted currently.
The San Francisco comparison, I think, is really critical because there's no guarantee it's going to happen for sure. But look at like San Francisco, how many running backs they have on their depth chart right now. And really last year we were like, okay, who's going to be number one? Trey Sermon was like, and everybody wanted Trey Sermon super bad. And then Armand, he predicted Elijah Mitchell out of the woodworks and all of a sudden was just elite. But that's how San Francisco operates. And it's a lot of injury through the backfield, right? It takes one injury and all of a sudden the guy comes through. Like Raheem Mostert was the projected one last year for San Francisco. And then he got hurt and that's all she wrote. Where now maybe it's a similar philosophy where you're loading up the RBs. And then as soon as one gets hurt, you just kind of put the next one in order. Where if he stays healthy, he is going to be incredible value. And that's been the San Francisco model for how many years. It's just hard to predict which one it's going to be. And I think that's a similar position we might be in Miami. But if you pick the right one, I think you're sitting on a gold mine.
It's funny also to see Myles Gaskin at the 4th spot in the depth chart there now.
Remember when everybody hit me so hard because I unloaded my fab in Dynasty to pick up Gaskins that one year and I flipped him for a first? Yeah, that was a good flip. I'll take that one.
It's pretty good to change your fab into a 1st round pick.
Yeah, he was like incredibly valuable that year, but it was just like I just didn't see it continuing. And then and this kind of a downhill. But anything to add here, fellas, before we wrap this one up? Zach, first of all, I really like that take. I think this is the first time that we've all three coherently and unwavered convinced or agreed with a hot take so far. So well done. That's kudos to you.
And it is hot. Like, just because we all agree doesn't mean it's not hot. It is hot.
I think I had the same argument for Jamal Williams last year, and that one didn't really pan out all that well. But the path to success here for Edmonds is a lot more sturdy.
The competition was DeAndre Swift versus Sony Michel. So
exactly. Hey, those are both high draft capital running backs. So,
well, Sony Michel, 1st round pick.
Yeah, Swift was only a second.
5 years ago.
Yeah. Anyhow, I think that's going to do it for us here for episode number, what was that, 54? Like I said, it's a little unorthodox. We're just busy times right now as we're getting things going through here for the summer. So if we do miss some news, I know like there's camp news, like even just right now, James Washington goes down and get carted off the field. Like there's things that are going to be happening throughout the week here that we will miss, but we'll try and get on social media as quick as possible for you guys. But obviously enjoy the warm weather. We're already past July and into August. It's hard to believe, but enjoy this last little bit of warm weather because guess what? Fantasy football is around the corner. So we're excited for that. We've got some big things coming up on the next episode here, maybe some light reading that we're going to recommend, but I'll foreshadow a little bit that one for you. So that'll do it for episode 54. So on behalf of myself, Armand, and Zach, and the 306 Fantasy Football family, and the 22 Fresh company as well for being our major sponsor of the year. Thank you very much for listening. Take care, everybody, and let's talk soon.